All righty, good afternoon, Earpers. How we doing? All right. I'm assuming your first day, or the Saturday at least today, has been going well for you all? Yeah? All right. Well, we're going to keep that going here with another fun panel. For those who don't know, my name is Kevin Bachelder. Thank you. I co-host the Tales of the Black Badge podcast with Bonnie Farrar. All right, we've got going to have some fun here with the guys this afternoon. So please welcome up to start us off, Tim Rozon. Please welcome Varun Saranga. And also Justin Kelly. All right, guys. Well, end of the day, so I think, we can play it kind of fast and loose here. So.
Fast and loose.
I was kind of telling them backstage, I don't have as many pointed questions as I had this morning, so feel free to talk a lot. One thing I kind of wanted to start with, we kind of have to learn a little more, Tim, about this whole wonderful surprise of you coming here. Maybe you could talk about what that was like for you.
Surprise. I just got really lucky, and timing worked out. I was supposed to still technically be in Africa. The production changed, and we did 6-day weeks over there, so it was a little hectic, but it was worth it because I got to be back here with you guys. Yeah, and it's like I said this morning, I'm not going to lie. I was jealous. I saw everybody with, together and having fun, and, it's tough when you can't Earp. Listen, just because we're in a convention doesn't mean we Earp. We all know what it is to Earp, and it doesn't mean we need to be in the same room to do it. But this is nice. And, I just generally, I missed everybody, and I missed the energy of what this is, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we've all experienced.
Yeah, it was pretty electric to watch you getting set up, and then for them to do that reveal with you with the boys from backstage. I'm sure you folks all love that.
Every panel would just be like us praising you for 15 minutes. There was so much Tim love. I was getting disgusted by it at some point.
Thank you.
And I know at a couple of the panels earlier this year, I think it was Michael that actually called you a couple times when we were doing panels at some probably god-awful time for you.
3 in the morning exactly. My pickup was already at 5. I love you guys, but Bobo has been blocked.
I was going to say, what's the feeling when you're getting a call from Mike Eklund at 3 in the morning?
No, that part was normal.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect all of you there at the same time. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Oh, we should call Mikey.
Oh. Yes! Such a good idea. Oh my gosh. Are you gonna FaceTime him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear the ringing? Oh, he's still going. He wants more. Mikey, we're here at the... Hi. Would you like to say a few words to the Earpers, Michael?
I wish I was there. I miss you all.
Wow, that's great.
There we go.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
He's so handsome.
I know. It's like he was expecting the call.
Yeah. It's like he's like, let me do 10 push-ups beforehand.
Now, speaking of the cons, we were just talking a little bit briefly, and we did a little bit of the panel this morning that they're really new to you, Justin.
Yeah.
And Varun, you've done a couple now, but maybe talk about what that was like, now that you've kind of got a feel for these.
Well, that was the thing, like, when we were shooting, I was sort of warned about, the craziness of these conventions and how great they are. And I there's kind of really no way to, prepare yourself for it, really. I had a bit of a taste of it at A-Kon, not this year, but the year before, when they were airing my first episode on the show. And I kind of snuck in thinking that I'd be pretty incognito because they hadn't aired it yet, but there was that one potato licking scene. And that was the thing. I waited in line. I was just like, I got to the hotel and kind of figured out where am I going to go. And like everybody was just like, I think I know you. And it sort of, it started from there. And then just the eruption of cheers. And like when we were watching the episode, it was just such a whirlwind of like love and support. It was so cool. And then got to do A-Kon again this year. And then it's been amazing. You guys rock. Yeah.
It's funny. They had no idea who you were when you licked the potato? Like that, they didn't even know you were a character.
I thought it was Mel. With a haircut.
Yeah. That's the funny thing. Like even Bonnie today was telling me, like the character on the bus in the first episode is like there's a whole thing around her too. Like she gets off the bus and gets killed. What's her name?
Kirsten.
Yeah. See, it's all like they're like you'd be in it for a second.
Yeah.
She was cosplaying. Oh, okay. Cool. Wow, there you go.
Yeah, because I remember the Twitter storm that was, what is going on with the potato when we saw the trailer, and who is that and all.
Who is this idiot licking the
could
potato?
the poor guy live up to it once we found out who he was?
And he did.
He came through there. Oh, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Varun, you mentioned something which was a great point this morning, talking about how when you came on the show, Tim very much kind of acclimated you to what was going on, and then you were able to help Justin. Is this something that, as we look to the next season, maybe that you're going to designate someone to kind of be like the newbie helper or something? Is that how you guys do it?
Wait, Justin has to pass the torch on
pass
to the next person in line. It was so funny doing Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con Season 2, and like having my... and like having
This guy.
my world explode. Like it was so, till then, whatever, just acting, getting bit parts here and there, doing my thing. And then even Wynonna, I was like, oh, this is, a job and this is what I'm doing. And, I guess now to the next gig. But, oh, this is a bonus. I get to go to Comic-Con. And this guy, the whole time, he just always had this smirk on. Like, he was always so happy. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is this thing? And, like, when the doors opened and I saw everybody in the hall, it was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Like, this doesn't get old. This, like, there's, like, Tim loves the Earpers because this doesn't get old. Like, this is incredible. This feeling of, like, love is so potent. You can like taste it. It tastes so good. Yeah, I don't know. Like it was so special to like have Tim guide me through all of that. That was so crazy, and I don't know. Like I loved guiding you through it.
Yeah, that was the thing, and for me, kind of joining the show, I came in at season 3, and I was, there's that feeling of nerves, being the new guy, but it didn't feel that way. It didn't feel like I was, it felt like I had known these guys for a long time, and that was because they made me feel so welcome and kind of welcomed me to the show with open arms and made me feel really at home. So that was much appreciated.
Well, you did serenade us in the makeup trailer on your fourth day with your guitar. I think you played Bob Dylan. And what? It might have been.
what did
I can't remember,
Maybe-
but we loved you from that moment on.
Justin is an amazing musician, and so in the musical episode, you're definitely gonna be busting one of those things out, right?
All right.
start a little Earp family band?
Oh, yeah, you know they'd be up for that, especially at a convention. You
Oh,
got
yeah.
together to jam.
Also, this musical episode, we've talked about it so much, so it has to happen, right?
We keep trying.
I bring it up intentionally at every panel to make it happen.
You may have noticed I do that almost every panel, too. Not a coincidence, you know. The more we talk about it, the more real it can become. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of the fun show stuff. I thought, for myself, it was so entertaining to watch, especially a couple of times this season. For example, I'm thinking specifically of the time that Doc bit poor Robin. But the scene when Varun, you're trying to take care of him, and Doc comes in and is very apologetic. I just think, and you're like delusional, you don't know what's going
Right.
on from the blood stuff. The three of you and the comedic timing on that was just amazing. I just thought it was wonderful to watch you do that.
Oh, thank
Is
you.
that something just you work?
He's a professional comedian.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
And so is he. I'm not good at comedy. I'm not saying that I can't be funny, but I don't mean to be. When like that. But they know when they're funny. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I'm going to do this, it's going to be funny. And then it is. And you're like, shit. So yeah, they're very professional at understanding the beats of comedy. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
just
but it's
there.
also, it's just like, if it makes you laugh, then it's funny. Like, that's the only barometer for what's funny.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I also, that's when you really stood up to me too, which was beautiful.
Yeah, that's
Character-wise,
true.
yeah.
That's when their friendship kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah, Jeremy,
Yeah.
you were pissed and you were protecting your dude and
Oh
you
my
were,
God.
you were pissed that I bit him. And
I remember you came breakfast one morning, like in the morning you came for breakfast, when you read that script, you're like, I'm sorry, bud. You're gonna hate me.
I think
said
I
that a lot.
I think when we were shooting that scene, when you bite me, I think I accidentally like hit you in the face by
yeah,
accident.
Accidentally.
You were crazy calm about it. I was just like, did I hit you? Yeah, you did.
So, I mean, with the comedic background, is that a way when you're working with another actor like maybe Tim, who hasn't got as much experience, do you somehow lead them in to help them do that?
No,
or?
not really. No, that's the, like, yeah, it is like
I'm
super
sorry,
funny
I've
and
been-
super easy,
I'm
you know.
sitting on teeth. And I was like, what is that?
Why do you have these?
But you know, I wouldn't say that Tim doesn't have experience in comedy because it
Well, no,
is
I
a
know what-
natural
yeah.
thing, and everything that we were doing felt very natural and just kind of happened, and you know, nothing was really planned and premeditated. It was sort of like that. It just worked, you know, and so yeah, I wouldn't say there's much like planning involved in that. We just kind of go for it and see what works and see what doesn't.
I think that's true of like every kind of scene in the show, like in terms
Yeah.
of the comedy of the show is just like, we all have a different language with every kind of relationship. And like, because we know each other so well in real life, they're like that banter kind of carries into
Yeah.
it. I don't know. We always come up with bits, and
Yeah.
it's just they're so natural, and they're never in the script, and it's just so fun. It's like, oh, this happened because we're friends, and like we're open to this idea of this happening.
He ad-libs a lot. How many have actually made the movie? Emily is very anti-ad-lib. She doesn't care. I gotta give him that.
I got some good
Each
ones.
scene, and that was funny though. If they don't use that was funny. You do. I do. Has anything ever made it?
Yeah.
There was a few. There was like our first scene that we did. There, you were ad-libbing like all the way, like while when you and I meet for the first time.
Yeah.
And then Dominique is like edging out of the room.
Yeah.
And you're just like spitballing all these things. And
Yeah, about her
they're
phone
hilarious. Yeah, they were
details.
hilarious.
Yeah, thanks,
And
Tim. I got someone in my corner.
I didn't say it was bad. I stick to the rules. I'm like very scared to like outside the rules of my dialogue. I'm like, okay, I gotta say these things. All right, I'm gonna make this work. Okay. And then he ad-libs and I'm like,
But is that more of a comedian thing where you get that inspiration and want to keep going in different directions with it?
I guess my motivation is always like, can I make the person across from me laugh? Like that's more my goal than anything to do with the story.
Yeah. I feel the same way.
Yeah. It's like in making him laugh in a scene, he gets so upset, but it's so rare. But he's like, just do the script, like pay attention. It's so great. I love it. It makes me so happy pissing him off.
Well, obviously the chemistry comes through. That's what we love, is you can tell that because it's just so natural so quickly.
Yeah, I miss his mustache too. Those were some fun breakfasts, the two of us going out for breakfast. People were like, who are these two guys?
Like you were like a mafia don, and I was like your crappy assistant.
Look, boss, I did the same thing as you.
That was his choice, by the way. That was awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to do it, and then I regretted it.
And then you had to keep it for like.
Yeah.
That's what you get for having a good idea and Emily goes with it, then you're stuck with it, right?
It's like eating in a scene. You choose to eat in a scene, and then you have to eat for like 3 hours, and the next thing you know, you're just like full of cookies or something, or whatever you're eating, and it's a nightmare.
Terrible.
Now, and we talked a little bit this morning about the great chemistry the two of you and your relationship has had. And you talked about how that's, a lot of that, again, and much like with the three of you, is from spending time together and having a great relationship right from the get-go. But is there any part of that relationship that the two of you are having a challenge with on screen when you're trying to do parts of it?
Probably the speed at which they should move, like the relationship.
Yeah.
Like how intimate, like how quickly do you go with the intimacy?
Yeah, like how like at what pace do we sort of, take it back and kind of span it out over a certain amount of time and not move too fast. But that was all sort of like, we discussed it a lot. We had a lot of conversations about it, about how we should play this. But I think honestly a lot of it came through, we would just sort of try it. I mean, just do it. And yeah, to me, there never really felt like there was anything particularly difficult about it. And it just, everything kind of fell into place.
Yeah, it was funny. Our first thing together was that whole
The
back and forth.
veggie stick thing?
The veggie
Yeah.
stick thing, and like the murder tree, you lick the tree. And Emily that night sent us an email being like, "You're the new Laurel and Hardy, Penn and Teller, that other great duo." Like she was so happy with, and Emily doesn't really message you. She's always in the writer's room working.
Yeah.
So it was like so reassuring
Yeah.
to know that like, okay, I think we nailed
Yeah.
the direction that we should head with these characters.
Yeah, well, especially, for me coming into it new and wanting to make a good impression, hopefully, it was really nice to get that and be like, okay, it's nice to hear that it's working and yeah, that they're like, oh, we hate this guy.
Now, I'd love to hear a little bit about the scene you did with Michael Eklund when he was in the box near the end of the season, because Michael is renowned for doing anything at any time.
Well,
how kind of was that for you?
It was great because I had never worked with him, and that was, and Bobo and Robin are two characters that you wouldn't really imagine would ever cross paths. And when they did it, it was this beautifully written scene that just would, like, they had this thing in common. It was music, and I love that too because I'm a huge music fan, and that's, I find a lot in common with people through music. But the problem was logistically, he was in that glass case, and I couldn't really hear him. So the pacing of it took a few times to kind of get right, and he was trying all these things that were great, and like come closer, and all these things. But we were having a lot of fun with it, and it was a really nice sort of innocent moment, and I was really happy that I got to kind of be a part of that too. It shows another side of Bobo as well. That's not quite hostile or sinister. It's this vulnerable sort of guy in a glass case that wants to listen to some music, and I just thought it was a really beautiful scene.
Yeah, it was.
Poor guy was sweating in that.
I remember we had breakfast after his first day with Michael Eklund, and he was like, what the fuck? That was awesome. Yeah, you couldn't wait to work with him again.
Oh my God, because it was the one where it's my only scene with him in season 2 when you and him are fighting, and then we go to the mine shaft, save the day. But I remember one of the takes, Michael had to punch. I think he had to punch a fake wood block, and he was always doing it. And his hand is bleeding. He's still doing it, and so I was terrified of the guy. And then
Naturally.
one of the takes, I like ran in and I messed up my line. And then I saw his face because he like just punched this thing, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna kill me. I messed up this scene. And then after to the second AD Brock, I was like, yeah, is he actually mad at me? Like, am I okay? Like, am I safe? And he's like, hey, you're fine. That's just Michael. That's just Michael.
There's like a dead wolf in his trailer.
It was he like is completely in it. Like I've never experienced someone who's like, oh, I'm gonna be like a monster in this scene, and then he is, and it's so fun. And then he's just so chill after, and we're riding back, and he's telling us stories. It was crazy, yeah. And then he licks things.
I had this great thing with Michael. We were both staying at the same hotel, and he was just like, "Come up to the executive floor," and he's just like, we went up, and he had a key card. And he's like, "What do you want? You want some San Pellegrino? Take some San Pellegrino. You want a muffin? It's yours. Take a muffin." It was just a little moment. We just rode back together. He wanted to take a pit stop and show me the top floor of the hotel. We just hung out there, and
Wow.
it was quite an
It's the
experience.
most Michael thing I've ever
It
heard.
was great. It was great.
Now, we had some fun fan questions sent in. One of the things folks wanted to know a little bit about is how much you think you are very much like your character or very much different than your character.
Well, we can both grow a pretty good mustache.
True.
I'll just say we both are vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know?
I think Jeremy and I share like hopefully a kindness and like a caring of people, but I think we also really share like overthinking things. Like I overthink everything constantly, and I'm like, oh, that's Jeremy in a nutshell. He like wonders what every interaction, like he sees it at every angle, like it's the Matrix. He's like, okay, I should have said this thing there. I should have said did that seem stupid? Does Doc like me? Like he's always constantly thinking things, and that I feel like I resonate with that a lot.
I think the biggest thing with Robin is the music. That's something that we really have in common. I mean, I think there's an aspect that, with Robin being kind of thrust into this world and being a bit of a victim of it too, and as you see throughout the season, there's a bit of a deer in the headlights vibe about it, which I share with him too. I have moments of just being like, what is going on? But yeah, I don't know. I think the music's a big thing. That's the main one for me.
Now, there was obviously some big season 3 things that happened for everybody. But at the end of the season, obviously for you, going into the garden, big stuff. Mm-hmm. But for you guys, getting left out of the big event by getting drugged by Wynonna, I'm wondering where you see your characters at the beginning of the season.
Hopefully alive.
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow, it's so hard to know, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, do you think that's something you're going to be holding a grudge against Wynonna for the two of you? Or just business as usual for Wynonna?
I think that all of our relationships will change substantially, like our affections for each other and kind of where we stand, I think are just really gonna turn over their head. Like this group dynamic that we built so strongly has all fallen apart, and I think it's just gonna be a whole season of like trying to bring it back together. Like that we do care for each other and that we do look out for each other. Like it's, yeah. Because like I can only imagine there's just so much that went down season 3 that, I mean, with this guy, but it was like it was tough. It like the group splintered in some way, and it's gonna probably be trying to get us back together. Yeah.
Now, we talked a little bit this morning too about Doc's season and some of the issues. But that very heroic act and what he was able to do, which surprised us, but also the way he did it in such, well, I would call it the better side of Doc, a typical way of being selfless and being willing to go in after Waverly. Do you feel that that might have really at least now balanced some of the other stuff that folks will be upset about, knowing what he did?
I can hope. Listen, as a writer and a fan of Emily, it was a sick arc that he became a vampire pretty much the only reason he did become a vampire was to save her in the end, and wait for that moment. It's good writing. That he's there able to suck out this poison only because he is a vampire, which is really cool. I just wish he didn't do so many crappy things in between. But let's just focus on the really great part of the arc coming together at the end to save her.
That's why I'm giving you this opportunity. Go.
But what he did it for Alice too, right? That's why he did it.
Yeah, listen, for me it was, I thought it was, to be honest, it came back to the scene, the super fun day we had with Kat, when the witch was in the fireplace. I thought the witch is in Doc, and I thought she jumped in me, which is why he did some of the things he did. And I told Emily, I'm like, so is the witch going to come out of him? She's like, what witch? I'm like, well, because he's obviously Doc, he was possessed. She's like, no, guys just lost it. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm still secretly hoping, because there was the witch, and there possibly could be a possession that still would make sense in this world, that he did nothing under his own will, is what I'm saying. I'm always the same place I am with every year and every season. I'm petrified and excited, and I'll do my best version of whatever it is that I'm going to do when I get. But I'm more excited than terrified, always.
Sounds like us as fans oftentimes too.
Yeah.
Now, do any of you folks have a thought? You just talked about how the characters might be wondering and having a fracture to go forward. And as we know, Emily and the writing team could go anywhere with anything. So none of us can predict that. But are there certain characters, thinking about what happened in season 3, that you're just very excited, even if it's not your own, that I really want to know how this person is going to deal with what happened here?
Well, Wynonna Earp is no longer the heir. I mean, she doesn't have... The whole time, she's had this power that, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, who saved the day? Every time. Wynonna, because she was the only one who had the ability to do so. Well, she doesn't have that ability anymore. So the only arc I care about is Wynonna. I can't wait to see what she does dealing with, because she's not superhuman anymore. She's still superhuman in the sense,
She kicks ass.
Yeah, man. But can she kick as much ass so fearlessly anymore? Because now maybe she could. I don't know what's gonna happen. But I just know she doesn't have that. So we'll see what happens.
Curious.
And then Waverly's the opposite. Sorry.
Oh, no.
And then we
Go.
found out Waverly's got super.
Angel powers.
Exactly. So, man, this is gonna be a good season.
I'm excited for Nedley. I'm curious to see where Nedley goes. Like, he's the only one left in Purgatory with Wynonna. Like, what is that adventure gonna be like?
I want to see how many more Hawaiian shirts he has.
Yeah, there's something interesting, I think.
Yep. I mean, the Valdez scrawled on the wall, the possibility of alternate timelines or universes. I mean, everything is in play, which shouldn't surprise us, knowing this writing team. But yeah, that's where it's going to be interesting to see how it falls.
Yeah, I guess it's so open to possibility. It's crazy. Like, it could go any direction. Wow, who knows?
Yeah, it almost makes it impossible to theorize what could happen, because it's anything, literally anything could happen, and anything is just, it's crazy.
And you folks know it even better, but us as fans love how when we start talking about, there's no more Peacemaker, There's no more curse. Maybe, this is all radically different. And then Emily drops one of her tweets, well, things might not be as different as you think. And then we all run around in our heads wondering what that means and what she's going to do to us. So she is definitely great at keeping us all wondering.
Yeah.
Now, going back, talking about you guys and your relationship, do you guys game together? I know you guys have done something. Are you in on this?
Well, the big part of season 3 was Nintendo Switch. That was sort of a thing that was going on. I think you guys had started playing Nintendo, and then I got a Nintendo, and then Zelda. But I mean, I haven't gamed with you guys yet, but I mean, there's room for that.
You got a PlayStation?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were playing Spider-Man.
I was playing Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's all. In season 2, we played a lot more games. Like, because I was in the hotel for season 2. And then nothing to do. And Tim's like, bring your PlayStation. I'm like, to Calgary? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So then I brought it every night. Him and our other friends, we were just playing Battlefield, like, for hours every night. It was crazy. Like, I'd be acting during the day and just playing Battlefield during the night. And that was like my life for 5 months. It was the best.
He's very good in a tank.
Yeah, no, I love video games so much.
I figured that's a great way for you to be building the bond of what you're doing, because it seems like a great way to do it. Yeah.
I think a big way we build it is food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food was a big one.
Yeah, we eat together. That's it. Like, when you eat together.
There was a few breakfasts. There was definitely a few breakfasts. For
Yeah.
sure.
That's it.
I
Like,
didn't say brunch.
Smart man.
that's like one of my like favorite like pleasures. It's so simple.
Breakfast?
Breakfast. But like it started with Tim. Like, we just go out for breakfast, and it just became this tradition. And like we go for breakfast every time. Like it makes me so happy to wake up. You're like, oh, do you want to go for breakfast? He's like, yeah, let's go. And it's just like, then we just end up chatting for 2 hours about Wynonna, then we go to set, and then we go act. It was super special. I love it. I look forward to that.
Lots of conversations trying to figure out what's going to happen. Just know that. We have no clue while we're filming.
Yeah.
By chance, in any of those conversations, did you get anything right about what actually did happen?
Well, I remember, Tim, you said something to me like at the beginning. Like you had a theory that Robin was gonna like be deputized or something like that. And then I took the mantle of a temporary deputy. And I'm just like, all right, Tim.
I wrote a fanfic script season 1 around episode 6, where I was trying to understand things. And I just literally said, I'm like, oh, what's happening next? Oh, it'd be cool if you did this. She goes, well, just write it then. And then I was like, all right. And we have a lot of off time, so I wrote like a 60-page script, and I gave it to her. And I said, yeah, is any of this real? And she said, no. Because I literally just ended everything. And mine had a wedding. And it wasn't Doc and Wynonna. But like, I ended every single part. I'm like, this would happen. She's like, you can't. The show's over. Get this. You can't. No. I mean, I was like, but none of my things were real. Yeah.
But like you guys, it's just fun to try and predict it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so crazy. We have no idea where our characters are going. Like, at the beginning of a scene, we'd have no idea where the characters end at any moment. Like, it's just endlessly fun to be like, could go in this direction, could go in that direction, could.
I feel with Robin, at the end of the day, he's just happy to be part of the group. Just, guys, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
I know one of the fun things in the fandom we've been doing, we even did a whole podcast episode about it, was trying to understand Peacemaker and the different colors that it emits and what those mean. Have you folks done any what-ifs in your brain on that?
I think I got the theory. Like, blue is sending them to heaven and red is sending them to hell. Like, I think that's it. I'm pretty sure. That's why Willa went to heaven. That's why that other revenant that was good went to heaven. I think so. Hey. Huh? No, I didn't explain that.
Yeah, the
one.
white color too. Right?
Wisconsin.
When
They
did it
just
turn
wake up,
white?
they're like, Milwaukee?
Willa.
Oh, it turned white on Bullshar.
Well, have you checked the Milwaukee breweries as of late?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I always thought that it was the peacemaker trying to tell her something, like red is shoot, and blue is there's another way, and white is, there's a different way to deal, like, maybe shouldn't have killed Willa. But yeah, I just said it and no one listened, but.
Sounds like us with fan theories, but that's why it's fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had some fun conversations wondering if the colors had to do with the emotion of Peacemaker. If the Peacemaker was actually sentient, so it was blue is when it didn't want to do.
Yeah, that's close to what I'm
Same with when Rosita situation. So,
Yeah.
but you bring these up to Emily, and all she does is smile and nod, and neither confirms or denies any of it. We wouldn't expect anything else but that.
I'd love to see Rosita back.
Yeah, I know a lot of us feel the same way. And that's where we worry or wonder about the idea, though, that with the curse ending, where are all the revenants gone? So, But, again, with the brilliance of the writing team, I'm sure they could find a way to make it work if we wanted to.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Another fan question that came in, a fun one for you guys, was with Halloween coming up. Do any of you have a favorite memory of when you were younger, or maybe even last year? A Halloween costume that you remember was your favorite when you would dress up?
My best friend at home, he and I went one year as Sherlock Holmes and Watson from the Guy Ritchie movie, and we had a good time putting this together.
Would you do like a bit? Would you solve people's mysteries?
Yeah, everybody's like, just go get a beer. Like, what are you doing? Fuck off.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe my favorite was when I had an afro at one point, and I dressed up to like Napoleon Dynamite. That was my favorite thing I've ever dressed up as. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I remember I didn't Halloween for a long time because somebody told me that people put razor blades in apples and candy, and I was very scared of that. Because I liked caramels candy, that's like a little square, and I said for sure a razor blade would fit in there really good. I was scared of Halloween, to be honest. For a
Wait,
long
in
time.
apples?
Yeah.
Why are you getting apples on Halloween?
You never know. I got a thing of saltines once.
They're just handing
You never know.
Their kitchen appliances.
You never know, yeah. So when you run out of things to give to people, sometimes it's just like, here, take some Premium Plus. Is that just a Canadian thing, Premium Plus, or is that American as well? Crackers, yeah, it's the saltine crackers. Yeah.
But I love dressing up now. Like Batman, I got my Batman costume for this year. I'm very excited.
Oh, cool.
Whoa. Which version?
I'll show you.
Ooh.
I'll show you after. I showed you?
No.
It's the Adam West one. It's like old school blue.
All right. Now that there has been a great relationship happening with Jeremy and Robin, but when we first saw Jeremy, it was all about Doc.
Yeah.
How do you see that changing now going forward? We're hoping that, the relationship will blossom there, but is that going to change how the two of them work?
Well, I think you kind of saw it, and also the shaving of the mustache is a symbolic gesture that Jeremy is kind of over Doc. In that way, I mean, he's not going to think he obviously thinks he's super sexy, but he's not like, he doesn't want to date the guy. Like, I think like they're developing like a brotherly kind of, or like a mentor-mentee kind of relationship. Because Jeremy has never had a boyfriend before, and so this is all new, and like he wants to try and do this right, and he like wants to try and figure it out. Hence, like we talked about the pace a lot. It's like it's slow when you don't know how to love somebody.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I think he's You gotta get over Doc at some point. But do you really get over Doc?
I think we know the answer to that.
No, it was interesting with the how'd you say it?
Is mentee a word?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I wasn't sure, but you said it.
Oh, it is. Okay, protege? Sure.
Yeah, because when you said that, who did you think was the mentor and who was the mentee? Because I think it's the other way.
You think so?
Really?
Now I do.
Oh. Jeremy has lessons to teach Doc?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think so. At this point, I do.
Wow.
Kind of weird. It's like our friendship a bit.
I got things to teach you.
Yeah, I think you do.
Well, that has been one of the great things about Doc, I mean, is since he's so out of time and all the different personalities around him, he is, while he may not be comfortable with some of these things, he is picking things up from all of them and kind of developing as he grows, I think. So that's something that's been fun to watch.
I would have loved to play the out of time thing more. And season 1 I did, it just never made the movie. Even like the first time I got into a car, I think I was with Fish, Levi. Who'd I pull across with the chain? Levi? Yeah. And him and I are walking through Bobo's trailer park and we get into a car. This is before the...
Yeah, windshield.
We got into the car and I get in the car and I'm like, oh, what's happening? And it was Ron Murphy directing. He's like, what the hell are you doing, man? And I'm like, yeah, well, Doc's never been in a car. He's like, no, he's been in cars. We don't have time for that.
We gotta make our day.
He literally was like, cut that. We don't have time for the scene. You got to walk, talk, get in the car. That's it. Cut. So, Ron Murphy just wants his scene. So I was like, but I was always trying to sneak things in. Or like, there was an elevator once. And I was getting in the elevator. I did this whole thing. Like, I'm like, whatever. And Mel's like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, Doc's never been in an elevator. She's like, oh my God. I tried to do more. I thought it was funny.
Well, it was.
No, obviously not.
Well, Varun's been able to get some of his stuff
Yeah,
in. Maybe
well, like
he
I
can
said,
teach you how to do
He
that.
knows comedy. I don't. It's so good.
I mean, I think it would be wonderful to see a scene at some point maybe where Jeremy is taking Doc through something he's never seen and trying to get him up to speed on it fast. I don't know what that might be, but I think that would be...
Love.
Ooh.
You need a little help in that department. He's not doing too good. He seems to be doing all right.
Well, it's still a new relationship, though, and that was one of my questions is, as it develops, there will likely be some stumbling blocks or something that might happen between the two. Do you see him coming to Doc for advice on things like that?
Well, I guess
Would he trust his advice?
I'm like, it's pretty big for Jeremy, like, not to be friends with Doc right now. Like, it hurts him so much. So it's like, that needs to be fixed first before you can ever trust him again. Like, I think Jeremy's definitely willing to and, like, is ready to. But it's just like, that still needs to be healed first before you can go to him for advice. Like, I thought it was so heartwarming, though, the Christmas episode, when Doc's giving him advice, you know? And that was, like, super, like, adorable and cute. And just, like, what I want to see more of in their relationship in some capacity is, like, Doc imparting his wisdom. But first, they need to be cool. They need to get on the same level now. Tim, you agree?
A year has passed.
You've bit my maybe kind of boyfriend.
But what do you think, whenever we find out where, you are, after you got drugged and all, if you find out that Doc was the one who went into the garden after Waverly, potentially sacrificing himself, no idea what's going on there, is that enough to get them back on a good spot?
I think so, but I also think we don't know how much time, like how any of this works, like after, like how long is the gap between them seeing each other? That's what I mean, like how long, are they still friends? Like do they remember each other? How does any of it work anymore? The rules have changed, I think, a lot.
They're family.
They're family, right. It's true. Hey, you bit Robin!
Happens.
Robin didn't seem to mind all that much. He's like, ow, ow. Ow.
And that leads to a great topic I was going to bring up there is Robin has certainly done, as you said, has no idea what's going on, so to speak, in terms of everything's happening. But he rolls with things pretty darn good, considering all the strange things that have been happening.
Yeah.
Do you see now that he's getting more comfortable and aware of that, what do you think might be his next challenges with the group?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's sort of like, because he grew up in Purgatory and left, and then now that he's back, there's all that, like, it's different, and there's all this crazy supernatural stuff going on around him. Yeah, I don't know if he knows quite how to deal with it or quite what's going on, but he knows how he feels about Jeremy, and he knows, so the baggage that comes with Jeremy is this, and I think he's sort of, I like to think that he's all in, you know, and that he's sort of, you know, like, it kind of started right away too. Like he was kidnapped in the first episode and put in a cage, and it can't get much worse than that. Well, it can probably, but like, I feel like if that didn't scare Robin off, then not a whole lot will, you know.
Yeah, very true.
I think. But yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what to add. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think this is the fun thing about this show. These like relationships start at the beginning of the episode. They start like, oh, this is gonna be so great and like fluffy and fun.
Yeah.
And immediately it's like Emily's throwing us into torture and beekeepers and murder trees.
Yeah.
Like, it's great, yeah. But like, I guess if any relationship can endure that, it can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I still hold out for Doc and Wynonna. Because I'm like, if they can overcome it all, there's something powerful there to say about love.
Yeah, I definitely never had fluffy or fun when I thought about the scripts. But, I'm actually interested to see what superhuman things going on with Mr. Chetri, because I feel like there's more there than.
Well, I think like he can sense they're in the garden. Like, you know, I think like because once he built, he's like an empath. I think. I don't know
I
for
think
sure.
there's
Maybe he's a
something-
robot. I don't know.
There's
But like,
something there.
I think he's like once he bonds with his family, it like becomes like he can. Yeah, it's forever. So I wonder if he's like feeling what like Waverly and Doc are going on, like what's happening with them in the garden the whole time. Could be.
Your groin's just going off.
Is it just vibrating constantly?
It's like constantly uncomfortable.
Episode of Fleabag.
It's an Earp panel. It ends up going there at some point.
Always, yeah.
Do you think we're going to find out, or do you hope that, you know, it might be that Robin has some other special ability or something
I
other?
would love to see that. Yeah, I would.
Have you thought about what it might be at all? Or hoped it?
You know, I don't know. I haven't really thought. I mean, I've had thoughts of like what would be cool, and like what, like imagine he was like a bit of like a Kaiser Soze, or you know, or like he turns out he's, you know, bad, or you know, just stuff like that, which would, you know, is really fun to think about, especially, you know, because the character and the way the character was written too is that, you know, throughout all this stuff, he's pretty like pure, and he's pretty, you know, kind of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. But
Innocent?
Innocent, yeah, innocent. And so, you know, like, but I would also like to see, you know, like maybe meet his father too, and see, you know, what his relationship is like with his father, and kind of explore that too. So that, yeah, there's all these things that I would like to see happen.
Yeah. I just want next season to be so dark. Dark.
Speaking for the fandom, please don't tell Elmo that, okay? It's a situation we don't want her listening to you in this situation. Now, speaking of season 3, do any of you have any thoughts? Were there any particular episodes, scenes, situation where you just remember really being proud of what you did in that particular one? I mean, something that sticks out to you.
I remember with Ron Murphy directing, going back to that, episode 4, when I do get kind of pulled away, it was like the last day, it was like a Friday, and it was the last scene. The crew wanted to just go home for the weekend, and we had to kind of film that stunt. It's if you guys remember, it's like that big kind of crane shot, and it's all kind of done in one take. And so we rehearsed it a few times and wanted to get it right, because the whole idea, Ron came up to me, he's like, we want to do this in one take, and like, get out of here, essentially. One take. And I was just like, all right.
I guess I have 2 for very different reasons. One is the one with when Jeremy defends his choice to not tell about dolls to Wynonna, and that was really a different side of the character that I was so excited to play, because for one, he's standing up to Wynonna, who is the leader of the group and who is so tough and who essentially is kind of the matriarch of the whole group. So he kind of knows that he might be ostracized as a result, and so, but he still chooses to do it. And it was fun finding his courage and his bravery, but underneath all that, like, utter fear of, like, saying this to Wynonna, but loyalty to dolls. There was just so much to play there, and I really loved that moment so much. And then the second one is the possession scenes that we did. Just
Those were so fun to watch.
They were just so fun to do. Like, Kat, Tim, and I were, like, losing our minds doing these scenes. They were ridiculous. They were like, we just kept getting bigger and bigger, and just going for it. And like when you have those kind of days, you just are having so much fun with your friends. And we came up with all these bits. It was so cool.
We did. That bit made the movie.
Yeah. I'm really grateful to be in Wynonna, where you can do like completely different shades of acting. Like one is so broad and comedic, and one is so grounded and heartfelt, and it's really exciting to do that.
I had so many
Yeah, I know.
moments. Like honestly, getting buried and the heavy scenes with Mel, just being able to like stay with her. I can't explain it. You guys know. You just lock into Mel and don't leave. Because if you exit, you're finished. You're just not gonna. The scene's just not gonna work. You can't fake it. So it's just to be in those moments locked in with her, and sometimes I know we're just locked, gone, and those are always really special and amazing. And I don't know, our stuff was funny too, because I didn't have too many funny stuff. Even the scene we had, the heart-to-heart with the hands and the stuff, and our bits made it, like all those things were amazing. But obviously for me, the proudest thing had nothing to do with season 3. It had to do with season 3, you guys, and the win for Wynonna. That was, in all honesty, that was pride. I was so proud of what everybody fought for and did. That was like the real time that I felt, fuck, that's awesome. Compared to doing a scene and being like, that was awesome. What you guys did was amazing. And I'm grateful forever, and thank you. And I wish, honestly, you didn't have to fight as hard as you did sometimes. But it makes sense for this. It's on brand for our show, guys. So, that's what I was proud of most for season 3 was the after effect. In fact, we're coming back for season 4.
That's right. Absolutely. And on that note, we're just about out of time. So again, folks, keep enjoying the con. Several social events going on tonight, and more panels and events tomorrow. Please remember, thank the volunteers, thank the organizers this con, and all these Earp cons happen because of dedicated Earpers who really put it out there. So please give a round of applause for our cast as well.
And thank you to you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure.
My pleasure. Always, always.